Okay, so I just opened a new project and I am going to just do some setup stuff, okay? Level 1 and level 2 comes with the template. I'm just going to rename these real quick just so that we can get around a little bit better. I'm going to label this top of subfloor, okay? And then would I like to rename corresponding levels and views? Sure. And then level 2, I'm going to label, I'm going to hit right click and hit rename. And I'm going to name it top of, or a double top plate. Okay, I'll call it top of double top plate. It sounds very wordy. You can always rename it later. Okay, and so I have some levels set up. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna start by drawing a floor for now, just a generic floor. I'm actually gonna do a quick version of what the doghouse that I ended up taking from one of the student groups last year. I'm gonna try to do it from memory because it's in my backyard now. But let's do that. So I'm gonna hit floor and I am going to look and see if there's something closer to what I want. There's really not. I'm just gonna go for it first and I'm gonna change it later. There's also the option of changing it first and doing it properly, but I'm just gonna go ahead and draw it with this 12-inch floor, which is way too much. So remember in Revit, you would have your pier block maybe here. You want to kind of align it to your pier block. Let me just throw it in here. Oh, it's way too big. Okay, I'm just going to put it down whatever size it comes in. I'm going to click on one of these and I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to start by making it 3 foot wide. I'm going to pick up a loose end that I want to move. Click in the dimension string and I'm going to click 4 foot and I'll make it a 3 foot by 4 foot doghouse for now. You guys already know how to do that, right? The moving stuff around. Okay, so that's my floor, and this actually happens to indicate the framing dimension. We don't need to worry about that right now. So I'm gonna hit okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna look in my 3D view and I'm gonna see what I have there. Okay, I have a floor that's way too fat and it's sitting on the ground. So I'm gonna fix that now and then we'll do the walls after that. So let me fix the floors first. So what I'm gonna do first is let's change the thickness of this floor. I'm going to hit edit type. I'm gonna always hit, whenever you change something, if you just edit this, it will change everything in your project that has this type of floor, which right now is nothing, but in general practice, it's not good to just change stuff. You should always duplicate it, and I'm just gonna call it doghouse floor. And then I'm gonna go into the structure, and then I'm gonna edit the structure, and I'm going to change the dimension of the floor. I think if I remember correctly, we used 2x6s. Again, you can check the textbooks to see if your span will work with 2x6 or if it will work with 2x4. But I'm just gonna say it's gonna work with 2x6s. What did you guys just learn? 2x6 is actually, what is it? 1.5 by 5.5, good. So I'm gonna set that at 5.5 inches. And then I am also going to add a 5/8 inch piece of plywood, okay? So I'm gonna just make those 2 layers right now and hit OK. And then hit OK again. And then my doghouse is shrunken a little bit. So the next thing I wanna do is I wanna lift it above grade. I probably should put in a real quick pier block just for reference sake. So let me, because you guys will all have some kind of pier block. Let me just throw something in here. I'm going to put in a foundation. Is that? What did you guys use for your, what did you use? Structural what? Oh, structural, perfect. Structural foundations, okay. and I'm going to call it pier block. I'm just going to make it very basic right now. I'm going to put an extrusion, and I'm going to just come out. It's 4 inches by 4 inches by 8 inches by 8 inches. Okay, and that is 10 inches high. Okay, and let's just leave it like that for now. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments in a bit. Okay, so one thing I should do is I need to fix my levels because I really need another level here. So to make another level, I can go to my elevation, and here's my levels. So one thing we should do is let's the problem is once you make something model in place, it's hard to change the level. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to change this top of subfloor. I'm going to copy it up by hitting CC for copy. I could also click on it, click on the move icon, and the copy icon, and then choose one mouse button and then another mouse button and just copy. I'm going to copy it up 1 foot for now. And I'm going to relabel this one ground. The first one that I did. First, let me change the scale of this drawing to 1 inch equals a foot, just to have it look a little bit more reasonable. And then I'm going to drag all this stuff over here. Sorry, do you guys have questions so far? No? I'm just trying to get the levels set up correctly. So this level 3 is going to be called top of subfloor. And then this one is going to be called ground. Okay, so this subfloor is currently constrained to the ground level. So the thing about Revit is everything is parametric and it's constrained to something usually, except for sometimes these model in place elements. So I'm going to change this constraint from ground to top of subfloor. And you'll see it just jumped up there. And if I move this top of subfloor up, my floor will also move, right? So everything is parametric. So let's get the right relationship of this. So this is my pier block. I'll just tell you guys that, Nadim, that we should have 6 inches of it sticking up. Does that sound right? 6 inches of the pier block sticking up above ground? 4 below? 6 above or 4? 6 below. Okay. So I'm gonna I can't move. The problem with these model in place things, I'm just gonna move this ground up. So I'm gonna move it up 6 inches. Okay. So my okay, so my that doesn't work. So I need to edit in place, and I need to send this down. So I need to say, instead of 0 to 10 inches, I'm going to say, what should I say for my start? Negative. Good. Okay. And 4 inches above. Okay. So that's my pier block. And then let's just quickly just kind of, the flanges that come up, about how high are they? Do you guys know? No? Okay, well, let's figure out where this floor goes, okay? So I'm gonna put a detail line in just to help me get situated here, and then it's gonna go up like this. These are the guys that go up. And my floor, I will just put at, so what's going to happen is you're going to, most likely, there's different methods to do this, okay? One method to frame your pier block is you have your pier block like this. and you have these flanges coming up. One thing you can do is put a 4x4 inside that, okay? 4x4 column. And then you can put a 2x6 rim joist on the outside of that, okay? 2x6 rim joist. Okay, then you would need another end joist here, would go here. And then you would have your other pier block over here, and you would, do this again, okay? And then basically this rim joist would support your floor joist, okay? So what's happening in the detail is that you have your pier block here, and then you have your hanger here. You have your standoff right there. You have your column. Has to come up and above that because these are metal plates that have, fasteners through them, and they'll get, fastened through. But you need to be able to fix this 2x6 to some wood without hitting the metal. It may be that you don't need to extend the 4x4 up. There may be a way where you can hit the side of it. And then in that case, you could drop this 2x6 flush with that piece of metal, in which case your doghouse could be shorter, which would be good. So this 2x6, so this is basically option 1, okay, for framing your floor. All right. Option 2, Nadim, did everyone do option 1 last year? The 4x4 post?
Yes.
Did anyone do the sistered? Nobody did the other way, right? We should just show them this way, right?
It depends when there's...
Okay. I will show you real quick the other one, though we're running out of time.
Possible to do it the other way too.
I'll share this with you guys, don't worry, and I'll share the whole video. So, sorry, that's the flanges. You can also put you could put a 4x6 in here, which would be huge and heavy and expensive, okay? Or you could put in a 2x6 like this, and then just kind of shim it with another piece. So in section, you have your flanges here, and you put your rim joist here, and then you would put a piece of blocking there, just so that it doesn't collapse on itself. Okay, so that's option 2, and there are other options as well. Okay, so sorry, we'll keep going here. So this is just the floor, and what I guess you should probably figure out is how to start the drawings and the framing. So, let me actually go back to the assignment here. So what you should have for your drawings is you should have one 3D image, okay? Then you should have 3 sets of plans, okay? This should be foundation and floor framing. This is floor plan and wall framing, and this is the roof. The roof should show the sheathing. Next, you should have 2 sections. There's going to be a lot of sheets. There's going to be a long section and a cross section. Okay, after that, you're going to have a elevations, and you may be able to shrink the scale of the elevation if there's not enough information on them. So these are the elevations: front, right, left, rear, not in that order. And then you're going to have details. Okay? And the last thing you're going to have is a takeoff. So how many 2x4s, what length, how many, because it's hard to judge which doghouse to choose unless you've done some kind of takeoff. Okay, so any questions on that layout? Okay, I don't think I'm going to get through all of this. I'll get through as much as I can, and then I'll continue recording into my other sections, I guess. So let's just say we have our floor here. I'll worry about I'm going to do detailing in the next next lesson. We're going to do detailing. So I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself, trying to figure out exactly how high that floor is above the pier block, because I really need to get into the minutia of the detail. I'm just going to keep it parametric right now and have it just floating above there somewhere. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is put some walls on there. So I'm going to go to top of subfloor level is missing. So if it's missing, I go view and I go to plan views and I say floor plan, and then I need to add the top of floor plan. Okay, so now I have this view, and then I can draw my walls. So let me just start by just drawing really quick walls for my, just to get my design, at least the overall geometry on there, and then we can talk about framing it up. So for walls, I hit the wall tool, which is under the architecture panel. Again, there's no wall close to what I want, so I'm just going to choose 8 inches. Actually, I'm just going to change it first this time. I'm going to hit edit type. I'm going to do what? Duplicate. I'm going to call it Doghouse wall. I'm going to hit edit under structure. I'm going to change it to 3.5 inches because it's a 2x4 wall most likely. And then I'm going to add the sheathing. I don't know the thickness of the sheathing. I'm going to start at 1/2 inch. And I'll hit OK, and then I'm going to draw my wall by choosing the rectangle tool. I don't like the way it's going on the wall center line. As Nadine was just saying, the subfloor extends all the way to the edge of your floor framing, and your wall sits on top of that. So I'm going to change this to core face exterior. And now it's like sucking on the inside. And I'm going to make this like that. Then I'm going to make this a round dimension because I don't like the weird fractions. So I can just keep clicking on these until it gets to the area that I want. When you guys are designing this, you should keep in mind material, you know, like you should keep in mind the framing because you want to save the amount of cuts that you do and the amount of wasted studs that you have. So we're doing a preliminary design. You do that in Rhino or physical model or whatever, and then you put it in Revit, and then you lay out the framing. And then if you discover I'm 1 inch over and I need an extra stud, you make adjustments to your design so that you don't have to buy an extra stud and cut it and, you know, spend an extra 15 minutes of your time doing that. So I'm just going to do, it doesn't like this right now, so I'll just leave it for now. So there's my lovely doghouse, okay? It's going all the way up to nothing. I'm going to constrain it to, for now, top of double top plate. Oops, that's the bottom. So if I select my walls and I go to top constraint and I say top of double top plate for now, it will shrink and be parametric to the top of double top plate. What is the top of double top plate? Right now it's 10 feet up in the high. You know, more likely it's going to be like 3 feet up or something like that. Okay, so now my doghouse is looking nice and short and squat. Let me do like the roof on there, and then what I'll do is I'll continue the framing stuff in my section, in my sections, okay? And I'll record it for everyone so that all 6 sections have it. But let's at least throw the roof on here. So one thing is I'm copying this design that the students did last year. So they had a little opening there, then they had a shed roof. So to do a shed roof, you go to architecture, roof, roof by footprint. It is also okay to try some other things like roof by extrusion. Again, when you are in Revit and you hover over any command, it'll bring up a little diagram and, you know, sometimes a video of what is going on there. The most useful is usually roof by footprint. If you guys want to do anything complicated, another useful tool is vertical shaft, and that can help cut the geometry of your roof. So I'm just going to do roof by footprint. I'm going to move it to, yes, I do want to put it at the top of double top plate level. I don't want it on the ground. And then I'm just going to snap to these points, okay? I'm going to align. AL is my favorite tool. I'm going to align that so it has a nice overhang. I don't want a like a hip roof here. Okay, so I'm going to remove these define slope thingamajigs. I'm going to just hit define slope and check those guys away. Now I have a flat roof. I want a bit of a slope here, so I'm going to go back and say define slope. And I don't want it to be 9 to 12. That's very, very steep. I'm going to say 5 to 12, and you'll learn more about that in the roof lecture. And then I'm going to hit OK. Okay? I have the same problem that I always have, which is the material is way too thick. So I'm going to edit the type, duplicate it, Doghouse roof. Structure is, I don't remember if we were mostly 2x6 for the roof, probably, and it's also, yeah, so let's just say 5.8. You could probably get away with 2x4s. Whatever you do, you got to look at those tables. If your spans work, everything works, you're okay to reduce to 2x4. Normally, the roof dimension is controlled by insulation requirements, so they're usually like 8 to 10 inches thick, but we're not going to ask you to do that. And then I'm going to add, again, I have to check those tables, but I'm going to skip it for now. I'm going to just do 1/2 inch sheathing. Might be thicker. And then here's something that I need to show you guys. So this wall, again, I'm just copying the student's design. I'm pulling it out. And then if these level lines are distracting me, so I'm just going to click on them, hide in view category. And then when I zoom in and orbit, oh, it's still not orbiting really well. There must be something somewhere that's causing it to orbit weird. So let's do this. Take all of your walls. Okay, so I selected them all by selecting the first one, and then you can hit tab and then hit left click again, or you can manually select them, or you can use the crosshairs and just select them all like this. Okay, and then you can unselect by hitting shift. You're going to hit attach, and then you notice that it's saying attach the wall to the top of the wall, and then you got to pick the item that you want to attach it to. So that's the thing. I think actually in their design, if I recall, I modeled this incorrectly. So I think that this actually is the one that defines the slope. So let me fix that real quick. Make it 5 to 12. Where did it disappear? This one I'm going to take the slope off, and then this one I'm going to just, oh, it's 5 to 12. Okay. And that was closer to what the design looked like. Maybe it's a little too tall, maybe it's a little too steep, but that's more or less what it looks like. So that is the start of the design. Now you would be putting these on sheets again. So top of double top plate. I will actually probably rename this later just to whatever my drawing wants to be. So let's see, my ground plan is going to be my foundation. So let me drag these onto a sheet really quick. So I'm going to make a new sheet. And then of course I don't have anything loaded. So title blocks, 11 by 17 horizontal. And then I have my, let's see, I've got ground, which is the foundation, and then I've got subfloor. Okay, so this is the one that's, I'm gonna want to make sure that this is 1 inch equals a foot. So that's my beautiful floor plan. You could also draw it, you know, rotated the other direction for better orientation in the paper. There is no north, south, east, west, so we don't need to worry about that. I would actually worry about matching the paper size better, so probably this should have been horizontal. So it's 1 inch equals a foot. Eventually this drawing will have a bunch of details in it, which I'm going to show you guys how to model, but for now I'm just going to show you, hey, we'll just show you kind of like roughly what it looks like. So it's like a 1/2 inch, that's the sheathing around my project, okay? Actually, the sheathing should have gone on the outside of the framing. Sorry, let me do that again. So to do that, I do a rectangle, I do the offset of 1/2 inch, or whatever the sheathing is, and then I choose my corners, and earlier I flipped it to the inside, but now that I think about it, the sole plate sits on top of the edge of the subfloor. The plywood then hangs down lower, so it's going to go on the outside. And then again, I'm just faking this right now with 2-dimensional lines, and it's not a bad way for you guys to do your first submittal drawings anyways and not model everything because you might go crazy. And then here is my, you know, my walls. But eventually this is going to look more like, I used create similar to make something that's the same as something else. Eventually you'll have a bunch of like components in here. So I can go to annotate, component, load family. I'm sorry, I'm going super fast. I hope you guys can watch it again. Detail items, wood and plastic, wood framing, cut lumber section, okay, nominal cut lumber section, okay, and then I can pick it a 2x4 and a 2x6, and then I can just put them in here, and then that's the kind of the easiest way for me to do a framing drawing, besides modeling it, which I'll also show you guys how to do. So this is what I was saying earlier. When you start to lay out the framing, so I'm just copying and rotating. So rotate is RO, copy is CC. Move, I don't even know, so I just do it manually. To snap to something, you do SE for endpoint. You notice that it won't go there, so you uncheck constrain, and then it will go diagonally. Okay? So this guy here, so this is where you need to kind of work on your design. So this one might go here. Okay, and then I know that this is an opening, potentially with a header, with a king stud and a trimmer, so maybe you need 2. And then maybe if I do the dimension between these two, it's just a little bit over 16 inches. So maybe I want to move this, you know, 16 inches on center. And maybe I want to just change my design. So I move this over. Does that make sense? Because then you just saved a whole stud, right? Because you're maxed out at 16 inches. So you can move your wall in to reflect that. Again, my wall is faked right now with lines, just because I was trying to do it fast. But then that is you know, better. And then this one, just to see that the spacing is correct. Oh, it's still not correct. This should be 16 inches. So this should go over there. So if you turn on the thin lines, turn off the thin lines, you can do that. And then this sheathing, you know, could move, you know, over here. But I'm way over time, so what I'll do is I will continue this recording. I'm going to stop it now.